What is up YouTube? Dylan Pearson here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my 3 favorite Facebook ad launch strategies that'll drive profitability quicker than the guessing game that a lot of people do. Prior to making these strategies, I was in the same boat as a lot of you probably are right now, where I would create some ad sets with random budgets, with random targeting, random placements. Occasionally I would get one that worked, but for the most part I would end up losing my investment. So what I did is I started coming up with ideal launch strategies that I now use for every single product launch or service launch within Facebook advertising campaigns. I use these for myself and also for clients. So they definitely work, and I'm gonna give them away free to you right now. I'm gonna pull up here a profit and loss statement from one of my brands, and you can see here that at the initial part, I was in the data collection phase, I was losing money, and then it took off. This brand ended up doing, I think, around a net profit of $130,000 in just under 3 months. So it really killed it, and I used all 3 of these launch strategies throughout the entirety of this campaign. So I was launching new ads and creatives with these launch strategies even while I was scaling. So we're just gonna jump into the launch strategies here. I'm gonna break it down step by step how you can do the same with your ad campaigns. First up, we have the video viewer campaign to the 95% lookalike audiences. The entire concept behind this launch strategy is to gather as much information as possible on the type of people that watch 95% of the video and then build a lookalike audience around that with a purchase conversion. So I'm gonna break it down step by step exactly how to perform this launch strategy. First up, you need to create a campaign with the video viewer objective. For this campaign, I always set a $50 lifetime budget. I found that $50 is really the optimal amount to get the sufficient amount of data needed to launch a profitable ad campaign. With the targeting here, I'm gonna target the 4 big countries, which is the US, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, and then also include New Zealand. I know New Zealand is kind of a random one here, but I found it to be a very profitable country when scaling and then also when launching it. I just find there's similarities between the audiences there compared to the big 4 countries. So it's a good one to launch to. My targeting is going to be very broad. The example I use for this is if you're selling a hairbrush, target beauty and leave it at that. Let the $50 spend for the targeting of beauty. The reason being is we don't really know who our audience is. We want to let Facebook utilize that $50 investment to gather very, very good data on who our audience is. That way, when we launch the lookalike audiences, Facebook already knows who we're launching to and can import those people into our lookalikes. I use automatic placements, and I don't do any type of demographic targeting in terms of ages or genders. Obviously, if you're selling a very specific gender related product, then go ahead and target your genders here. But what I've found is that Facebook is leaning towards artificial intelligence and really optimizing through their algorithms. So if you leave it broad, they will do a better job than you will of finding who your potential buyer is. Now that the $50 is spent, what we're gonna do is take that data that we've used and launch a conversion campaign. To complete this, I built 3 lookalike audiences: 0 to 1%, 1 to 2%, and 2 to 3%. The lookalike audiences that I do for this launch are a little bit different than other strategies. I'm not gonna break up the lookalikes by country. I'm gonna leave it with the main 5 countries that I targeted for my video viewers campaign. I've found that with this specific launch strategy, leaving all of the countries grouped together to start is the best way to drive profitability from the get-go. Then what I do is I break it down by countries once I have some sufficient purchase conversion data rolling in. My campaign is going to use a purchase objective, and my budget's gonna be $20 per day per ad set. Once I have data rolling in, my budgets are being spent, I need to now make the decision of if I'm going to kill it, pause it, or scale it. And this is how I do it. If my ad spend is greater than 1.5 times my break-even cost per purchase, and there's no sales, I kill it. I'll put the formula up here, and I recommend following this. In my opinion, if you're running with the purchase objective, this is a sufficient amount of data and budget to know whether an ad set and audience is going to perform sufficiently. With that said, that is how I launch my video viewer campaigns into a profitable 95% lookalike audience based campaign. Let's get into launch strategy number 2. Launch strategy number 2 is honestly my personal favorite. I utilize interests and then launch into lookalike audiences. The thing that is different though compared to that first strategy is once the lifetime budget has been spent with that video viewers campaign, I kill it. Whereas with this, I continuously scale these interests simultaneously alongside of my lookalike audience-based campaigns that I create from the data gathered from the interests. So let me break this down for you. The first thing I do is launch interest-based campaigns. I run with the purchase objective at a budget of $20 per day per ad set. The countries I target are the USA, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. And if you want, you can go ahead and include New Zealand in that one also. My targeting is a single interest per ad set. I don't do any flex targeting with engaged shoppers, online shopping, or any other sort of flex or excluding type of targeting. I go fairly broad. I'm looking for audiences with a minimum size of 5 million people. Obviously, if you find a very good audience that is smaller than that, go for it. But the thing that I like about broader audiences at this stage is we're still learning about our target customer. By giving Facebook broad audiences to utilize, it allows them to find people that we might have missed with smaller audiences. So I personally like to stay above a 5 million per person audience, and I've been finding really good success with audiences of like 40 to 50 million people right now. So the artificial intelligence and algorithms are increasingly better every single day. Give Facebook the broad audiences and let them find the buyers for you. I use automatic placements, and once again, I go broad, no specific demographic targeting. Obviously, if it's very gender specific, go ahead and change that, but age range, I'm usually leaving it at default, 18 through 65 plus. Once those ad sets are spending, how do you determine when to shut it off? Once again, I use the standard rule that I've kind of found to be the optimal rule, which is if your ad spend is greater than 1.5 times the cost of your break-even cost per purchase, and there's no purchases, shut it off. Once the interest-based ad sets have hit 50 purchases, I then launch my lookalike audiences. Once you have 50 purchases, you're gonna have a sufficient amount of data to generate those audiences and generate a multitude of them. So whereas with the previous launch strategy, we only really had data for those 75% and 95% lookalike audiences, here we have an opportunity to launch the view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, 75% video viewers and 95% video viewers. In my opinion, I didn't include the purchase lookalikes because I usually wait till I have 300 to 500 purchases to launch the purchase lookalike audiences. I do a 0% to 1%, 1 to 2%, and 2 to 3% breakdown for the lookalikes. This time though, the lookalike should include a single country. I don't include all of the countries here solely because I know that I have 50 purchases. I'm gonna have a lot of data and accurate data to break it out by country. I then take the lookalike audiences that I generated, launch them in a purchase campaign with the purchase objective, $20 per day ad set, automatic placements, leave the demographics broad once again, and then I follow my rule of if the ad spend is greater than 1.5 times the cost of your break-even cost per purchase, and there's no purchases, shut it off. You're gonna hear me say that another time or maybe a couple more times throughout this video because it works, and honestly, it lets me stop wasting money. On to number 3. This is my PPE to engagement lookalike audiences. I see a lot of people utilize PPE to launch video viewer lookalike audiences, but I kind of found something different here that works very well. I create a campaign with the PPE objective at a $50 lifetime budget. Once again, I target USA, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, and New Zealand. I use one ad set with a very broad interest. For example, if I was selling a yoga mat, I would target yoga or alternative wellness or health. My placements are automatic. Once again, I leave the demographic targeting very broad, no specific targeting added. Once the $50 lifetime budget has spent, it's time to launch your lookalike audience campaign. I create a 0 to 1%, 1 to 2%, and 2 to 3% lookalike audience combined with all 5 countries using the engaged with custom audience. This takes anybody that's engaged with your Facebook business page, Instagram profile, your posts, commented, watched the video. It essentially takes anyone that's engaged with your ad and your business and combines them into a group. This is great because I find it gets me a lot of accurate data of who really is interested in the product or service that I'm offering. I then take the lookalikes, I launch them with a purchase objective, $20 per day per ad set, automatic placements, broad genders, and once again, I'm not gonna say it out loud, I'm gonna follow my rule. I find that this is a great launch strategy that works incredibly well, even if you're later on into your scaling phase. There's a lot of people that these other custom audiences do not capture where the engaged with custom audience does. So you're getting that extra amount of accurate data and it really helps you boost an already profitable campaign or launch a brand new one. Overall, those are my 3 launch strategies that I use for myself and all of my clients. Completely free, so if you could do me the favor of just clicking that like button, making sure to subscribe with notifications on as I drop a minimum of 2 videos just like this one, always really high quality, per week. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay tuned for the next video. It's gonna be crazy. I'll see you then. Dylan out.